Welcome back to Workshop Wasteland. If this is your first time being here, man, did you pick a good time to stop by. If you've been here before, thanks so much for coming back. In today's video, we are going to run my PM Research PM #1 steam engine with their boiler that we've made, with their water pump that we've made, and we're going to power the little dynamo generator that they offer, which I also made, all live right here on video right now. Let's get to it. All right, so I do want to point one thing out before we get this thing up and running. PM Research, Jim over at PM Research reached out to me and wanted to give me a bit of a safety concern that they had after showing the propane or butane burner that I made for the boiler. So he wanted to point out the relief valve on the boiler will relieve at about 60-ish PSI, which is perfect. However, the hole that's in the relief valve to relieve pressure may not be enough to keep up with the amount of heat that we're adding to the boiler. With the flame cubes, those Esbit fire cubes that are really stinky, if you're using those, you're not producing nearly as much BTUs of heat. Probably never going to run into a problem. With this burner, we could potentially run into a problem, and he wanted to point that out. The good news is I didn't run into a problem. I've already test ran this. I've watched the gauge. Everything seems to be fine. I believe this boiler is actually a little undersized for this steam engine because it does pull quite a bit of steam, especially if you're trying to run it kind of full tilt or wide open, if you will. So I've not had any problems with the pressure rising after the relief valve relieved, and I did let it relieve so that I could check that it was actually working, and it is right around 60 PSI like they advertised. So just wanted to pass that information along. If you've made it this far, the last thing I would want you to do is injure yourself on the day that you're ready to test everything, which we're going to do right now. So just wanted to point that out. Your mileage may vary. He was nice enough to call and give me that concern. I wanted to pass that on to you guys because it felt like the right thing to do. So watch your pressure gauge. Make sure you're staying in a safe range, especially after that relief valve pops and starts relieving around 60 PSI. So what do you say? Let's take a look at this steam plant and see how it all came together. So in a nutshell, here's everything that you need. As you can see, I have the whole steam plant set up. I did buy some cylinder oil, some steam cylinder oil from PM Research. It was pretty cheap. I put a little bit into a smaller squeeze bottle so that I could hit my little oiler points on the engine, which we'll do before we get it started. So this is PM Research PM #1 horizontal steam engine. Machined here on the channel, works really, really well. It's just a blast to run on live steam, and I'm really enjoying it. I've ran it quite a bit at this point. Back here you can see their little dynamo generator, again, machined by yours truly, right here on the channel. This is connected via a belt, and I made a pulley. I know this pulley is kind of comically big, but a steam engine runs kind of slow, so you need to use some gear reduction, or in this case, increased reduction, to power this generator to get enough voltage to power these lights. These are two LED lights in a little 3D printed enclosure. Looks kind of cheesy, but it's going to prove that it all works out just fine. Next thing here, kind of the star of the show, is our BLR-1, or boiler #1. This is the vertical steam boiler. Again, the kit machined right here previously on this channel, all set up and ready to go. We have our hand feed water pump connected right here with a cup of water to feed the pump. And then this is a butane/propane gas cylinder that I'm going to use for my burner that I've built and is sitting underneath the boiler. And then the plumbing connections out of the top of the water pump through a check valve into the boiler. We come out of the top of the boiler over into the steam engine. We do have a whistle, and we have a valve to regulate the amount of steam pressure going to the engine to effectively control the speed. Really worked out super well. I got their little water gauge installed on the side so you can see the water level. I don't know how well that's going to show up on camera. But without further ado, I don't know about you, but I am really ready to see this thing underway. So I'll probably speed this up just a little bit because I don't think you want to sit here and watch this come up to pressure. It actually doesn't take very long with that propane burner. It works really well. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Yeah, you can see the fire in there. I don't usually run it that high. I kind of keep it turned down a little bit, conserve some fuel. I don't think it takes very much heat to get this boiler up to pressure. But you can see right now we're starting with a cold boiler, and we will get this thing cranked up here momentarily. Right now it's 7:08. We just started this up. I'm going to wait for it to come up to about 50 pounds of pressure, and then we will run the steam engine. While I'm waiting for that to come up to pressure, I'm going to put some of this steam oil in all our little oil cups on the engine. They don't hold very much, just a couple drops in each one seems to be sufficient. And then lubricate anything else that's kind of a moving part there. I also do have a displacement lubricator. This gizmo right here is a displacement lubricator. You fill this up with oil, with the steam oil, and then whenever you open this valve, it allows steam to come into here, which then the oil floats on top of the water as the steam condenses into water in here, and then it forces it to come down into the cylinder and keep the cylinder lubricated. So I have this open about half a turn. I don't know if that's enough, but it seems to use a good bit of oil, so I'm pretty happy with that. And then because I'm running it here in my workshop, I have, this is like an exhaust tube just to blow the water down in here to a bucket and capture it so it doesn't go all over the wood floor. No steam pressure yet, but it's only been 1 minute. Like I said, I'll probably speed through this a little bit and bring you back whenever it's time to operate the engine. All right, it's been about 4 minutes. In about 4 minutes time, we are up over 25. We're probably approaching about 40, maybe 35 pounds of steam pressure. I'm gonna wait till that gets to 50 and we'll toot the whistle and be off. Something I wanted to point out, this is not PM Research's steam whistle. This is from that microcosm or whatever it is online. PM Research was out of stock, unfortunately, so I could not get a steam whistle. And there goes our relief valve popping off right now. So we're definitely up the pressure. But what I wanted to say is this steam whistle kind of sucks. But here we go. Let's watch the steam engine crank away. Slow that down a little bit just because we can. And if you can tell, that thing's just sitting there ticking away about like a sewing machine. And if you look right here, you can see the lights flashing because it's a little bit too slow. Speed that up just a smidge. And there you can see our lights are on. Lights are on. Maintaining about 50 pounds of steam pressure. And there is our steam engine just sitting there ticking away just as nice could be. Look how slow we can make this thing run. Turn my fire down just a little bit too far. And we can hit the whistle again. I am just thrilled to death. This is absolutely awesome. Literally could not be happier. I've probably ran this thing for an hour up till this point and have just enjoyed every second of it. Every so often you need to put a couple of pumps of water back into your boiler because you're obviously using the water within the boiler to make steam. Wonder if we can get it just a smidgen slower without the generator connected. I don't know how many RPMs that is, but I can promise you it's not very many. And then we can really let it eat. Turn it down just a smidge more. Put our belt back on and make the lights run one more time. As you can see, the lights work really well. So if the power ever goes out, I can make me a little bit of light. Probably not enough to light up the whole house, but be pretty darn cool either way. And then just to prove that there's no camera magic here, stop the engine and the lights stop. Start it back up and they come back on. Let's do a bit of a walk around. Slow that way down. Let's give one last little toot on the whistle. Nope, not quite enough pressure to make a toot on the whistle. As I was saying earlier, this whistle kind of sucks. It leaks no matter what I've done. I've put some leak lock on the fitting. I can't get it to stop. I guess it was cheap, but either way, it doesn't work so good. That's going so slow that it's actually stopping in between as we come down on steam pressure. And that's it. All right, there we go. What a smashing success. Everything works as you would expect it to work. Steam engine runs fantastic. The boiler does a really good job, albeit probably a little bit small for this steam engine. The burner worked great. The water pump does a fantastic job of feeding the boiler with water. And even our little dynamo that we machined in previous videos works just fantastic along with this steam engine. Literally couldn't be happier. But if you know anything about me, I always go above and beyond. I can't just barely dive into anything. I jump all the way into the pool, feet first, until I'm sunk each and every single time. So if you thought for 1 minute that we put several hundred hours worth of time into this little steam engine project to power some light bulbs, you were rudely mistaken. Let me show you what I really had in store all along, because I think this is really cool. It's going to segue into our next project that we're working on, so you're definitely going to want to watch this. Alright, kind of handheld here for a minute. This is a little display, HDMI cord right here feeding it, and I am powering this display plugged into the outlet right there. However, This is a Raspberry Pi. If you know anything about a Raspberry Pi, this is basically a little tiny computer. Literally able to access the internet, do whatever you would want to do on a regular computer, on this little tiny computer, albeit much slower, not nearly the processing power as an actual computer, like a desktop or a laptop, but this is a computer nonetheless. Once we're up to steam pressure and we get the generator going, we're going to plug this USB cable into our Raspberry Pi to power the Raspberry Pi from our little generator through a step-down buck converter. This is going to take about 10 or so volts input, step it down to about 6 volts on the output. You'll be able to see that on the display. I don't think the camera will catch this segmented display because of the FPS of the camera. It always makes these get washed out. But take my word on it. As you can see, we have input power coming in. Got a capacitor to smooth our input power coming into this so it doesn't drop offline. And if all goes well, we're going to send power over here to our Raspberry Pi and segue into our next project. Full disclosure, this is extremely finicky. I have tried to make this work several times and really difficult to power this Raspberry Pi. They must draw more power than what the internet says they would draw. However, if it works correctly, we'll have the Raspberry Pi, HDMI cable. As you can see, no camera magic here. HDMI cable coming over to our display, and we'll be able to access the internet from our steam plant, which will be absolutely awesome. So let me wait till this comes up to steam pressure, and we will get started. All right, here we go. Attempt number like 2,475. My air conditioner is running, so sorry if you hear some background noise. We have our relief valve going off right now. Slow the engine down just a little bit. Plug in the Raspberry Pi. I don't know if you can see the little LEDs right here. Makes it so you can kind of see them. Now we're going to watch this display and see if it comes to life. Slide that back just a smidge. All right, you can see it's booting up now. Connected to the internet. I have a little Bluetooth keyboard right here. We can go here to the web browser for the Raspberry Pi. Zoom in just a smidge there. Hopefully the internet will open up here shortly. These things are kind of slow. Like I said, they don't have a lot of processing power. Okay, there is our internet page. Let's go to PM Research. Hit enter on that. Let me close this other tab. That might be contributing to it slowing down just a little bit. Close that tab. Now, let's go to PM Research's website, back to where this all began. Bingo. PM Research website being powered by a Raspberry Pi. Being powered by a Raspberry Pi from our buck converter. We got 5.9 volts coming out. Steam engine powering it all. Let's come over here to PM Research's website and let me show you what our next project is going to be. Click on gas engines. Oh, scroll too far. This is really touchy. Trying to hurry before we run out of steam here. We are going to purchase the air-cooled Red Wing engine. So this right here is going to be Workshop Wasteland's next project. Let's get an unmachined kit. Scroll down a little bit. Click on Add to Cart. As you can see, it's in our cart. Proceed to checkout. I'm obviously, for security reasons, not going to finish my checkout right here on this screen. Recording it because that would be kind of silly, but this is our next project. I am going to purchase this immediately after this video. It only took about 20 attempts to make this work. However, with that said, we are on PM Research's website. Right there you see it, folks, PM Research, and I am powering the Raspberry Pi with our steam engine setup. That's pretty darn cool. All right, well, there you have it. What an awesome project this was. I know it was a long time in making. I know this was a lot of videos to get to this point, but we have a functional steam plant from hand pump to generator, all machined right here in Workshop Wasteland in my little home hobby machine shop. Hopefully you enjoyed this video series. I really enjoyed this whole project. I cannot wait to get started on the Red Wing air-cooled engine. That's going to be a really fun project as well. Hopefully, with any luck, I've encouraged some of you to go and purchase a kit, something similar to one of these. Maybe not necessarily from PM Research, but I have to say I am thoroughly impressed with the items that they have sent. The steam engine, the water pump, the boiler, the dynamo, they're all really good beginner-friendly kits. I know it maybe seemed overwhelming. I know it may have looked like there was a lot going on, but I promise if I can do it, you can do it. Definitely subscribe if you haven't yet. This would be a fantastic time to hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed the video, please like it. And if you wanted to, leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought about the entire project. As always, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next build series of our air-cooled Red Wing engine. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you in the next video.